The heartbeat of Cleveland football always starts right in the defensive trenches, and we need all our dogs healthy to keep dominating the line of scrimmage. With a key veteran sidelined right now, the coaching staff desperately needs some young muscle to step up and anchor the interior. Luckily, a highly anticipated update just surfaced from Berea regarding a promising defender who was flashing serious potential before getting banged up earlier this month. The coaches are sounding extremely optimistic about getting this vital rotational piece back on the grass very soon to eat up some crucial preseason snaps. Cleveland Browns head coach Todd Monken is keeping a close watch on the health of defensive tackle Mike Hall Jr. as our first preseason game against the Bears approaches. Hall has been sidelined since August 3rd, dealing with an injury-plagued summer that has kept him off the practice field. During his 2 seasons here, the tackle has served as a rotational piece, accumulating 25 total tackles and 2.5 sacks. While he has yet to complete a full season, his potential for a larger role this year is clear to the coaching staff. Monken confirmed he is hopeful that Hall will return to practice soon, though he emphasized there is no reason to rush the young defender back into action right now. With Maliek Collins currently on the PUP list and no firm return date in sight for him, the team is being cautious to ensure Hall is ready for his projected starting role alongside Mason Graham. It is a relief to hear the staff acknowledge that he got off to such a great start before the setbacks, which justifies this measured approach. Here's the thing nobody wants to say about this defensive line. However, relying on a player who has not seen the field in weeks creates a precarious situation for our depth chart. While we have veteran reinforcements and a new scheme under Mike Rutenberg to look forward to, we must ask if this cautious timeline will actually leave the interior line vulnerable when the games begin to count. Can the coaching staff really afford to wait much longer before getting him significant reps against starting caliber competition? The reality of our defensive interior hinges on how quickly our young tackle can regain his footing before the regular season grind begins. Behind the scenes, the front office is likely measuring the risk of his recovery against the necessity of having him ready for those vital early season snaps. We have watched Mike Hall Jr. demonstrate his utility over his 2-year stint with 25 tackles and 2.5 sacks, but those figures remain incomplete due to his persistent availability issues. And I'll be straight with you, relying on a player who has spent his summer sidelined since August 3rd is a nervous prospect for any supporter who remembers past seasons defined by depth concerns. The coaching staff is balancing a delicate equation here, acknowledging he was truly trending in the right direction before this latest setback slowed his momentum. They clearly value his growth, yet the lack of a firm timeline for others on the roster, like those currently on the reserve list, forces their hand to be patient rather than reckless. If he manages to shake off this injury string, his ability to pair up with our established anchor could stabilize our front four significantly. We are essentially waiting to see if he can finally string together the professional repetitions needed to lock down that primary role. It is an uncomfortable waiting game that every veteran coach understands all too well when trying to build a consistent defensive unit. Everyone in the building knows that talent exists within his frame, but until he is back on the grass, that potential remains strictly hypothetical for our defense this year. Moving past the immediate updates, let's look at what this news actually means for our outlook this year. The truth is, relying on Mike Hall Jr. to anchor our defensive interior right now brings a level of uncertainty that we cannot afford to ignore as the season approaches. Because Maliek Collins is currently sidelined on the PUP list with no set return date, Hall is being groomed to step into a starting role alongside Mason Graham much earlier than some might have anticipated. This shift forces us to depend on a player who has not seen live practice reps since August 3rd, and frankly, that is a difficult spot for any defensive front to occupy. If he cannot get back to speed quickly, our ability to stop the run and generate pressure against opponents will be compromised before the schedule even gets tough. We have to consider how his absence affects our ability to test new packages against the Chicago Bears this weekend, especially since the coaching staff is clearly hoping to see that potential he showed earlier in the summer. With Jared Verse playing on the outside and Alex Wright looking to grow, the interior needs to be solid to keep the whole unit from buckling. If our depth chart remains thinned out by these injury concerns, we are looking at a much harder path to outlasting our division rivals in the coming months. Getting him back on the field is not just about roster management. It is about ensuring we have a complete defensive squad ready to compete when the games actually start to count. Getting Mike Hall Jr. back on the practice field serves as a vital spark for our front seven, as the staff continues to weigh how to build the roster while Maliek Collins remains on the PUP list. Since he demonstrated such a promising start before this injury, the upside here is a higher ceiling for our pass rush when he joins Mason Graham. And that changes everything regarding our interior defensive line consistency. However, the counter-argument is equally sobering because rushing a player who has missed sessions since August 3rd risks a recurring setback that could leave us even thinner at a position requiring significant stamina. Media observers note that while his 12 solo tackles and 2.5 sacks show potential, the team is gambling on a rotational player suddenly absorbing starter-level snap counts. Analysts around the league have pointed to the roster math for guys like Graham and the internal hope for Hall as a key indicator of whether the front office is satisfied with current depth or still hunting for outside help. Here is where I land on this. While the organization sounds optimistic about his recovery timeline, I personally worry about the lack of live contact experience heading into these exhibition games against the Bears. Relying on youthful promise is fine, but failing to secure a veteran fallback plan while others are sidelined feels like a dangerous game of chance. If he does not find his rhythm immediately upon his return, the entire defensive structure under our coaching staff will face immediate pressure to adjust their expectations for the opening week. I simply need to see him sustain a full week of work before I can buy into the hype. Considering the news regarding Mike Hall Jr., and the current state of our roster, the broader picture for the Cleveland Browns involves successfully bridging the gap for our interior defense while ensuring younger talent is not overwhelmed too early. Think about it this way. When we view his recovery through the lens of long-term development, the coaching staff is clearly prioritizing his long-term health over immediate, short-term participation. Fans should feel a sense of cautious optimism heading into the season. The organization is showing maturity by refusing to gamble on a player who has not touched the grass since August 3rd. It is a relief to see them act with patience rather than forcing a return before he is ready. With Maliek Collins on the PUP list, having Hall Jr. back will eventually be the cornerstone for stability alongside Mason Graham. This isn't just about surviving the preseason. It's about building a foundation that allows our pass rush to maintain the pressure we have come to expect. Seeing a young player who showed such a strong start get back to work is exactly the kind of boost our front line needs to stay competitive. While waiting for a full recovery is never fun for supporters, it is the correct move for a team aiming to stay strong throughout the entire calendar year. Are you comfortable with the coaching staff waiting until he is fully ready, even if it means he misses the early exhibition games against the Chicago Bears? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Dog Pound. I'll see you in the next one.